everyone. Welcome back. It's Tuesday again, and I want to welcome you to my Instagram live show called The Third Phase. It's great to have you here. Today's guest is one of the United States' leading aging in place experts, an occupational therapist and CEO of Evolving Homes, Carol Chiang. Carol is the author of a new book that I want to tell you need to get it. It's very good. I'm really enjoying it. It's called Age in Place or Find a New Space. And she's also a podcast host herself. So I'm thrilled to have her joining me here today. And I want to thank our sponsor, Life Valet. Life Valet is a manufacturer of a grab bar that doesn't feel cold and clinical. Life Valet has designed one, as you can see here, that is as safe as it is stunning for your home. Life Valet grab bars are ADA compliant. They're award winning. They're designed for intentional part of your design of your bathroom. They are fully customizable, as you can see here. You can inlay whatever you want, your tile, your stone, your material of your choice. You can, and it can match your design. So check out all your possibilities at lifevalet.com, and be sure and follow them over on Instagram at lifevaletnw. So, for everyone that's joining us here today, I'm Lori Carpenter, interior designer and founder of The Third Phase, and I am happy to be here and happy to introduce you as we learn more from Carol Chiang. Let me bring Carol on. This is going to be a great conversation about aging in place. So let's get Carol on here and let's.
Hello.
Carol,
How you doing?
welcome.
Thank, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm very excited to have you here. I have got your book, and I have learned so much from it already that, things I know, but you don't know. Sometimes you just don't think of it. But I love your quote in there that is, motion is lotion.
Yes, that's right.
Love that. Love that quote. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. My background is occupational therapy. I have a business in Jacksonville, Florida that helps people plan for aging in place. So much more beyond grab bars and just physical things. I'm really much more interested in the holistic approach of this. How do we look at the importance of physical fitness? How do we talk about what the caregivers are going to do? How do we promote healthy habits like eating well, drinking enough fluids, getting enough sleep at night? And then how to use technology to support aging in place in light that, very soon we are going to be having a very strong caregiver shortage. And what
Yes.
role or how could we leverage technology to be able to keep us at home and not need to move into a care facility?
Correct. Well, and that's what my whole third phase is about. Let's age in place as vibrantly as we possibly can. From your perspective as an occupational therapist, what are the most common misconceptions people have about aging in place?
The number one that I am absolutely trying to fix in terms of mindset is that planning for aging in place happens after you retire. People do not understand that is absolutely too late. I work a lot with financial advisors on this. In fact, I was a speaker. I was an invited speaker to Dr. Coughlin, Joe Coughlin's MIT Age Lab event that was planning for
Mm.
financial advisors, just to talk to them about how important it is to be having these discussions really early. And the reason I say that is because the minute that you retire, what happens? You stop earning. You stop earning money. Your money pile is fixed, which means that the choices that you have available to you are also now fixed because you have no way of changing that if something significant happens or you decide that you really, really like that $20,000 bathtub. You can't afford it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a good point. And I know you've witnessed a lot of your clients transitioning into the third phase. what is the earliest sign that a home is no longer supporting someone's independence?
So I spent a lot of my career doing home health. So that means that I come in and I can immediately see what's going on. So usually the signs are deferred maintenance things. I come to the front door, it's loose on the hinges, there are burned out bulbs, the carpet's coming out, like trip hazards, dark spaces, these are all problems. If I see the kitty litter in the bathtub, I know to ask, did you fall in the shower? Are you having trouble getting in there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now they're only sponge bathing at the sink? So, and I would say the other telltale thing is seeing corners, edges of the corners like broken off, drywall broken. Sometimes they broke it with their head, big holes in there.
Ah.
You get finger marks that are on the walls where they're kind of like wall walking. So we call it furniture walking if they're going from furniture to furniture. But if they are unstable and using the wall as their stability, you're going to see these little black wall marks along there. And then, of course, if you go into the bathroom, I'll always say, "Can I use your bathroom?" before I leave. And I'm noticing things like towel racks that are a little loose or dry or pulled off, or the soap dish has been pulled out of the wall because they used it as a grab bar. So these are all clues that they don't have to tell me anything. I can see it just from walking around in the house.
Wow. Wow. Where should someone begin if they want to prepare their home for aging in place, but doesn't know what they need yet?
Well, you have to start early. You have to start early. I have a question for you.
Sure.
How many clothes in your closet do you have that you thought you would wear? You loved it at the store and you never wore them when you got home?
Oh,
Well, lots, right? I mean,
absolutely.
there are lots of times when we
Probably more
try.
shoes.
Right. So we try things. We think, cool, that's the new style. I'm going to try it. I'm probably going to love it. And you come home and you never use it. And
Yeah.
so, part of the reason why I say that aging in place starts in your 20s and 30s by building these healthy habits to stay healthy and physically active, but also creating an opportunity for you to make mistakes while you're creating those safer spaces. So try putting in something, see if you like it. You might turn out that you hate it. You have an opportunity to make mistakes and try other things instead of only having that opportunity when you're 60 or 70 and the stakes are really high now. You got to make it right. But the stakes are very low when you do this in your 20s and 30s when you're going to do a remodel anyway. That avocado bathroom is going. So when the walls are down and all this, like, do some research. Take a week and just look around. What are my choices? What could I do? How much does it cost? Is it worth putting in at this remodel or maybe the one 10 years from now? Or maybe I move houses and then I leave this one and I do something somewhere else. So
Sure.
getting that information is important. You want to gather up a file, get all your ideas into one place so that you can go to it the next time that you're ready to do it.
Yeah. What is three design changes that can make the biggest impact on safety, but doesn't make a home feel clinical or institutional?
Yeah, I think actually it's the easy stuff. People want to complicate this like crazy. They're always talking about this installation, even grabbers or whatever, but just dummy proof it. High
Yeah.
color contrast. As you get older, it's more difficult to see, especially at night. So don't pick a white on white bathroom.
Right.
Pick something that is, if you have a white bathroom and you're retrofitting, pick dark grab bars. I used to have a patient who was in the Navy. We got bright navy grab bars and he loved it. He said he could see the grab bar even with soap in his eyes. So it's the little things. And designers are really great at this idea of integrating everything in there. And I'll give you another tip. I'm an expert with Parkinson's disease, and Parkinson's patients have difficulty with turning their heads left and right. And a lot of times those are the ones where I see the edges, the corners kind of broken off and things. And it's usually because they didn't see it. Now an ugly way to do this would be to put bright colored duct tape on that corner so they pay attention to it, right? Just like a stair tread.
Right.
But instead, I figured out that if you painted one wall bright color, one wall muted color, you now just created something that is making somebody look at it and nobody would know the difference. It's just an accent wall, just looks a
Right.
little different.
Right. Contrast. The
Hmm.
contrast. Absolutely. Um, how important is it to involve occupational therapists early in a renovation or a new build? And what does that collaboration look like?
Well, I think it's important for personalization reasons. So a lot
Mhm.
of people will say to me, well, like, why don't I just make an ADA bathroom? We'll just dummy proof it like that. Doesn't that work? And my point is of course it's going to be better than something inaccessible. But you have to
Right.
remember, where did ADA come from? ADA was meant for access for all, meaning everybody from 5 foot under to 6 foot 6 or whatever. The number of people that live in your house, it's only a handful, maybe.
Right.
So why, and if everybody is Asian by descent and around the 5 foot mark, why
Hmm.
would I want to create spaces that make it easier for somebody 6 foot and over to use? So
Correct.
personalization, depending on how that person lives, who is using that space, like what is their style? You want to figure those things out. And occupational therapists, we're clinicians. We work on ADLs, activities of daily living. So we're used to talking about those more private conversations that
Hmm.
people are not used to having when they are at the bank, for example, and all buttoned up and wearing their nicest clothes, or even talking to, a burly contractor. They don't want to talk about their incontinence and how, I need to think about your like about sealing my grout because if there's leakage on the way, then I don't want it to smell. Like these are not conversations people have comfort in having with those types of professionals. So having a medical professional on your team gives you an
Hmm.
opportunity to kind of whisper all of those really good things that you really need and let the other person be the messenger to say with the rest of the team to say, hey, yeah, this is an important thing, period.
Perfect.
Don't worry about
Yes.
how I know it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, in your experience, what are some emotional barriers preventing people from modifying their homes? And how can designers or family members help overcome them?
Well, we talked a little bit about this before. It's this worry about looking like a hospital. I think in
Right.
general, the sad thing is that people avoid aging as a bad thing. They see it as a bad thing, which instead of looking at it as a natural progression of life. I mean, sarcopenia is just what happens. It's the
Mhm.
muscle loss of half a pound a year every year after 35. It's normal. But that doesn't mean that it's that you can't do anything about it. You absolutely can. The thing is that people don't do anything about it because they don't know to do anything about it. They don't know that as they get older, their priorities need to be to increase their activity level for muscle loss, to reduce muscle loss so that they won't have problems. So back to talking about those grab bars and stuff, like the grab bars are not going to prevent you from falling, but you can integrate them in a beautiful way in two-in-one fixtures to just be available if needed. And it makes people happy. It's beautiful. They don't see it. It's not obvious to visitors, so they don't feel ashamed or anything like that.
Right.
And then it's there if they need it. And if you've read my book, I talk about this concept that I created called reassurance rails. This idea of wainscoting, essentially, of creating this long linear line that you can run your hands along, and you know that if you were to have a sudden loss of balance, that you could grab onto it quickly and it would be stable because you purposely put it into the studs. But an everyday person coming in, they won't know that that's what
Mhm.
it is. So
Mhm.
making sure that things don't change in their life aesthetically, that other people don't notice. And then I think from the family member perspective, just recognize that they're not being stubborn or, you know, contradictory on purpose. They don't feel old. They look in the mirror and they feel 25. And so if they see something that you're showing them that looks like it's for old people, they don't correlate to that's what I would need because I'm
Right.
25. I do not need these kinds
Yeah.
of
Right.
things, right? And my last point would be what I call big ticket paralysis by analysis, and that is the idea when somebody when you have a you they finally agree that a contractor can come over and and evaluate, and they open the PDF that says this is going to be a $35,000 investment, and it's like, whoa, I can't deal with that. And what I liken that to is cars. Like we test drive cars, we try them out, we talk to our friends, we read consumer reviews because it's a lot of money. So you want to have information. You need to gather that information to decrease the stress, just like you would having a car. So I tell people, go on vacation, go ask for the accessible room on the cruise or in the hotel, wherever. Try it out. A lot of people think, oh, like it can't make that big of a difference, or I don't like the look of that, so I won't even try it. But you'd be amazed at how many people try something like that and realize that they don't mind that look after all, or that the function that they get, the benefits they get out of it, outweigh the cons tremendously. And so
Mm,
then they'll take it on their own hands. And I think that it's the best way to experience it and not hear it. That's how people make changes in their life.
yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of, you know, saying let's go to a handicap accessible, even hotel room, something like that, just to try out. That's interesting. Good idea. Good idea. Technology is evolving so fast. What smart home tools and innovations excite you most for aging in place?
Um, right now in the age of AI, data is a huge driver for information. So real-time data is really interesting. So many cool things out there that can provide you with information that you used to have to go to a doctor's office for. So for example, they make a smart toilet where it can literally analyze whether you're dehydrated or not. And more importantly, it can monitor trends. So maybe you're not like dehydrated to the point of getting a UTI, but you're moving in that direction, and it provides you information to take action early. So if you tend to be prone to UTIs, right away, whoa, like I need to stop. I need to really start pushing water, making sure that I'm doing something different. Automation of data and then the action required for it is really interesting too. So for example, Nobi has a lamp where if it detects that you're trying to get out of bed, likely at night to go to the bathroom, then it
Hmm.
will automatically turn that light on to provide you with the light to get to that bathroom a little easier. So, and safer, because otherwise it requires cognitive strain on you, the person, to turn on the lights, or even if you could tell a voice activated system to do it, but it's one more step that
Hmm.
sometimes is the obstacle to not doing it. Like you might not want to wake your spouse because you said it out loud, or you have to walk over to get to the light in the dark. these are
Correct.
these are all things that you have to consider. And
Right.
lastly, I just want to mention something very cool, which people expect me always to say, smart home technology. And I say, listen, I literally just did interviewed the founder of Lotus Labs, which is a non-Wi-Fi option way of controlling your TV lights, blinds, switches, on all that with just a ring on your finger. So it literally uses radar technology, the same technology that's in your remote control, and you push the button on your finger, and it can turn those devices on and off. And it doesn't require Wi-Fi or anything. It's very dummy proof, which is really necessary, because if anybody
Mhm.
with a smart home knows, it is the most frustrating thing on the planet. Every time that the Wi-Fi disconnects or the app is glitchy, or some update just kicked out all of these things. And one time I had lights coming on at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill this thing. So
Absolutely.
there is something to be said about, kind of going back to manual just a little bit, even down to phones. For example, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, a lot of older adults, smartphones are a pain. Like their fingers are dry, so touch screens don't work well, and the screen is complicated. You've got all these random apps. Like, I just want a keyboard and a send button. That's it. And so
Yeah.
people will go to flip phones to dummy proof that a little bit, make that a little bit easier. But sometimes then now we're talking about fine motor control. And so there are other cool technologies out there, like phones that have little very stripped down versions for dementia patients, for example. So
Hmm.
I could go on and on, tons of new technology coming out that are able to support people. But again, you need guidance on that. There's a marketing message, and then there is an OT honest opinion message that says,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not going to work for you. And here's
Yes,
why, because I'm matching you to the technology and I have tried it, or I can see beyond that marketing message and what the potential pain points are going to be behind that.
absolutely. Um, Leslie's asking what is that product, but I'm not sure which product she's
Which one?
asking about. I'm not sure. Maybe she will add that on there.
Okay.
The toilet you were talking about, where's it from?
That one is called Trulu, and
Trulu.
yeah, Trulu, and that one is, I think that he just launched an aging in place version. It used to be just B2B. You needed somebody else
Mm-hmm.
to look at it, but I'm pretty sure that now, like an average consumer can go and get it. The lamp itself is called Noby, Noby. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
dummy proof Wi-Fi. Oh, that's called Lotus. Lotus Ring. Lotus Ring. It's like it just came out this year, and he was named one of Time Magazine's top innovations of the year for 2025. So
Oh,
it's a big deal. Like that is a really, really cool thing for, I want to say about 200 bucks. It's not very
wow.
expensive. It's very easy to use. And I think, yeah, over Thanksgiving, he was on QVC. So, he's
Wow.
getting, yeah, you just check it out. He has 10,000 bazillion testimonials online of people using it and showing how cool it is. And one of my favorites is one that he had posted this video where this woman in a wheelchair came up with no arms to look at this product. And when we think about rings, we think fingers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she's no
Mm-hmm.
arms. And so he was just like, huh. And so she just casually just picked up her leg and put her toes on the counter, put the ring on, was like, oh, okay, there it is. I can feel it. And doop, doop, doop. So she's managing all these things with her feet. And it was just,
Wow.
I know, it's super fascinating. Super
I will
fascinating.
definitely look this up. Very
Well,
interesting.
and like I said, the when we started talking about this because it's non-Wi-Fi option, but the other big plus in this is non-construction off option, meaning you don't need an electrician to rewire anything. They have this
Perfect.
hilarious thing. When I was at Consumer Electronics Show a few years ago, and they were showing, he's like, "Do you want to see the installation?" And he picks up the faceplate, and he goes, and it has a magnet on the back, so it just magnetically goes, and he's like, "Done." So his point being there is no installation. You literally take it out of the box, magnet to the wall, ring on the finger, and you're in business. And the ring,
Wow.
like,
So,
yeah,
how does it actually? I guess I'll have to research. How does it actually work?
yeah, well, so it's by rate. It's just like your TV remote. It uses
Oh,
radar
radar.
to, yeah, to send the signal. And you can do it. It needs like maybe a foot gap between, but you can do multiple things. You can turn on the fan, the light, the whatever. They can be in the same room. You're just pointing to it differently. So,
Huh.
yeah, it's really quite fascinating, right? I mean, just very easy, dummy proof, simple,
Very
nothing really to
nice.
mess up
Yeah,
with.
not needing an electrician. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I need one too. Leslie said she needs one
Ah,
herself.
well,
I
do you know
think we
what's
all need one.
and you know what's funny? He's a young dad, and he has discovered that a new target market, when something's really a simple idea, it's
Hmm.
really open to a lot of different kinds of people. And his
Yeah.
wife, when she was pregnant, she's so heavy with a baby, she doesn't want to get up and turn off the lights. Well, guess what? The ring helps. Or
Yeah.
when the baby was born and they were rocking the baby to sleep, and they finally get this kid to sleep after 45 minutes. The last thing they're going to do is to say, Alexa, turn off the lights,
Right.
or say something out loud. They're just like, and it's
Yes.
done.
Great idea. This is fabulous. Wow. I am intrigued, to say the least. Um, okay. What is one story from your clinical work that illustrates how transformation, the ride home modification can be?
So I'm going to answer this from an OT perspective. I think it's really
Sure.
about what's the problem you're trying to solve and
Mm-hmm.
what's the solution adequate for that person. So even though, let's say, in a bidet seat and toilet attachment, it's not really considered a home modification, but it is something that people don't routinely think about like on a day-to-day basis. You don't go to, a 30-year-old doesn't go to Home Depot with the idea that they're going to buy a raised toilet seat with a bidet on it, right?
Right.
So I had a client where she was having incontinence, stress, all kinds of different incontinence, and she wasn't leaving the house anymore. She wasn't going to lunch with her girlfriends because she was afraid of the smell. She was afraid that I smell and people will
Wow.
notice, and I'm embarrassed about it. And so, her niece reached out to me, and we got her a seat. And she texted me a few days later and said, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe the change in my aunt with something so small, but something so impactful because of digging through, like, what was the problem? The problem was incontinence. So let's address that. It's not the falls or anything after." So because she had the bidet seat, she could now make sure she was really clean and she didn't have a smell. And actually, my friend said that when she walked into her house, it no longer smelled like urine. And her
Wow.
aunt had a smile on her face and was lighthearted for the first time in several months when this had
Oh,
just been
wow.
weighing on her, the stress of it. Yeah. I just
Oh,
think
yeah.
those are huge for your social and
It
happiness
is.
reasons.
It is wonderful. Wonderful. Um, okay, you often talk about thriving instead of surviving at home. What does thriving look like for someone entering 60s, 70s, and 80s?
My number one thing is it's about freedom. Like thriving means
Mhm.
freedom. It means that you
Freedom.
can do what you want. You can have lots of social engagement because, like that story I just told you, that
Uh-huh.
you have joy. But what does that freedom, how do you get that freedom? Freedom's not free, right? We know this even from the military. Freedom is not free. Somebody paid for that. Somebody did something. Somebody put work into that. So if for freedom for an older adult, what that means is that it's your job to make sure that after 30 that you are eating, changing the way you eat, changing the way you exercise, making that a priority, keeping physical strength, huge priority, that you can take care of your house, you're cleaning things, mow the lawn, you can get down on all fours with your grandchildren, you know having a financial preparation to pay for all of those things that we talked about beforehand, like that you have the money if you need it, that you know that senior living can be expensive. But don't worry, we've got a backup plan. I've got a backup plan, and now I can relax. And to me, again, that is still freedom. That's cognitive freedom to not have to worry about those things. And then physical freedom because you can literally go and travel the world if you wanted to right now.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, that's good point. Good point. If you could give families one piece of advice to help loved ones stay safely at home for as long as possible, what would it be?
Um, Listen, be brave and have the money conversation. It is such a taboo area. I feel like sometimes I'm the only person talking about this because ultimately, I can go into a space to look at something and, I can have 100 ideas, but if you don't have any money saved, every idea I have is probably involving duct tape and sponges or something like
Absolutely.
building out of the house and not
Yeah.
ideal. Okay, so you have to have those money conversations. You need to know how much is senior living in your area. Is it even an option? There's a 2024 study out of AARP that says that only 16% of the American population could even afford 100K a year. So that
Yeah.
means that they are aging in place out of necessity and not because it's even a potential option. So understanding where you are financially, what the financial situation is that you need to prepare for, those are helping you understand what your future is and what will be the next step in there. Because you want to be in control of your future. You don't want to be forced
Right.
into a decision because you were afraid to look at aging, or you just didn't think about it, or you thought like, oh, I'll figure it out at that moment. And people generally fall into that category of their first fall. They're thinking, whatever, I've lived here forever, I have no problem. And then they have that first fall, they break a hip, and suddenly they're thinking, well, I don't know what to do. Where am I going to go? And how am I going to do this? And who am I going to call to like install those grapplers? I have no idea. So you have to have these hard conversations early. And I stress the idea early, not only because you never know, you could have a car accident and it could be not even a fall. It doesn't have to be older to need that,
Uh-uh.
you know?
No.
So what is the expectation with your kids, with other things? And you a few rounds of start stop, this is uncomfortable, embarrassing, before you can actually get it out there. So the questions are like, look, if you're expecting your spouse to be a 24/7 caregiver, I have news for you. That spouse will be burned out within a matter of years, and so you better have thought about financial planning to hire a caregiver for respite care. If you thought that your adult children were going to care for you, I have news for you. Not every person is cut out to be a caregiver. It is a lot of work. And that is okay, right? By the way, I'm not judging at all.
Mm-mm.
I am just saying
No.
that you need to know yourself so that you can plan financially for those things. It's so important.
Have the financial conversation.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Talk about
Very
it.
important. Very important. Carol, anything else you can think of that maybe you'd like to share that maybe we didn't cover here?
You know, I want to say that it's so important to back up and look at your whole life. Like what you're doing with all the people and how to bring that in. People we all love each other, and we people bug you about, Mom, have you called that care home yet? How much is it? What are you doing? They're bugging you because when you have a plan, everybody can relax. So it's a gift of peace of mind, not only to yourself, but the family around you, so that you can go back to having conversations about fun things and not these logistical things or whatever, like the things that are hanging over people's heads that then they're denying and we're not talking about. Now I'm frustrated and now you're annoyed. And then you fall, and ultimately, it's all stressful. So the gift to each other, and we're in the holidays right now, is
Yes.
really to have open conversations and be able to say, look, I do have a plan and here it is. It's not perfect yet, but let's work on it together. And maybe then we can all just take a deep breath and chill and just enjoy each other.
That is fabulous. That is a gift. That is truly a gift that we could give to our families. So that's a great point for third phasers. Definitely get this situated for your children.
Yes. For
Right.
everybody's peace of mind. Everybody
Yeah.
sleeps better.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
if it changes later, right?
Right. Right.
Nobody can predict the future.
We cannot. We cannot. And people, I think a lot of times are in denial that they're going to age.
No, I know. They are in denial, actually.
Yeah, total denial that we're going to age. I'm not going to need that grab bar. I'm not going to need this or different colored walls or things like that. They don't think that's ever going to happen, but it will.
And you
If
approach
you
it.
have the luxury of living long enough.
And if you can approach it in a gentle, compassionate way, it doesn't have to be this source of tension. And you don't
Absolutely.
need to make this a big deal. It's just about two people kind of meeting each other in the middle and saying, I'm
Yeah.
willing to be open-minded and look. And then the other side saying, look, I'm willing to, understand that it's really hard to be in your shoes. Because you know what? I'm going to be in your shoes someday too. And my kids are going to bug the crap out of me for that.
Yeah. 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 Leslie's saying things can change on a dime, and
Sure can.
they certainly can. They
Yeah,
certainly can. So always be prepared.
that's right.
Well, Carol, thank you so much for being here today. I've learned so much from you, and be sure, how can people contact you and where do they get your book?
My book is available pretty much everywhere on Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes and Nobles, bookshop.org. Probably the easiest is going to be Amazon for people to
Yes.
remember. So, Age in Place or Find a New Space, and How to Create Beautiful Spaces for Meaningful Interactions. And
Okay.
other,
Do
oh,
you have you're a podcast host. What
I
is that?
do. I host a podcast called Innovative Aging, and it's a clinical podcast that where I
Oh,
bring on founders and we talk about the pain points of aging in place, and we talk about all the solutions from easy to, difficult or complicated, and clinicians can earn credits towards, their licenses, but it's open source. It's on all the major platforms, innovation. I'm sorry, Apple, Spotify, all of those platforms. As I think it's maybe already on MedBridge as well. MedBridge is the provider name. But yeah,
Innovative
it's
agent.
yeah, you can
Wow.
definitely learn a lot about that. And like I said, the Lotus, I had Deval Patel, who's the founder of Lotus Labs, on last week that we were interviewing. I don't think his episode will come out till June, but I've got lots of really cool other technologies that are coming out in there. And my parameter for inviting guests is that they need to be at this moment kind of a B2C, like really targeting the consumer at a reasonable price, something that's accessible for anybody, a caregiver, to just go out and buy immediately. So none of these, difficult solutions that are in the thousands of dollars. Few hundred,
Very,
accessible, high impact.
very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So we check that out at Innovation Aging Podcast.
Innovative aging. Yep, you got it.
Yep. All right. Very good. Well, social medias, how do they find you there?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on
Okay.
LinkedIn. I post on Instagram at times, Facebook. I would say LinkedIn is my primary, where I really like to do blog style, thoughtful posts to think about, to get people thinking about collaboratively working together for the global aging crisis, coming up with solutions for their communities, really working together to find, you know, share ideas so that we're not constantly rebuilding the wheel, whether that's from country to country or from even state to state. So whatever it is, I think that we can do better with the more knowledge we have, and sharing that knowledge, being open and gracious about sharing that information.
Thank you so much. That's what the third phase is about. We are trying to bring as much as we can to people 60 plus that are dealing with a lot of these things. But really, the focus needs to be about 35 so that they can start preparing.
Yeah, absolutely. Be in
Yeah.
control of your future.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Carol, and I hope we can speak again.
All right. I'm really looking forward to it. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.